The question of whether dogs perceive humans as dogs has intrigued pet owners and animal behaviorists alike for decades. Dogs are among the most socially intelligent animals, having evolved alongside humans for tens of thousands of years. Despite this long relationship, understanding how dogs view humans involves delving into their cognitive abilities, social structures, and the way they perceive the world. This video we will explore whether dogs think humans are dogs, considering factors such as canine social cognition, the bond between humans and dogs, and the ways dogs differentiate themselves from humans. Evolution of the human-dog relationship. To understand how dogs might perceive humans, we must first look at the history of domestication. Dogs, Canis lupus familiaris, evolved from gray wolves, Canis lupus, around 15,000 to 40,000 years ago. This domestication process is believed to have been mutually beneficial. Wolves that were less fearful of humans gained access to food sources, while humans benefited from the wolves' abilities to hunt and protect. Over thousands of years, wolves gradually evolved into domesticated dogs, who became more attuned to human behavior and emotions. This coevolution has led to the development of unique communication skills in dogs, which are different from their wild ancestors. Dogs, for example, can read human gestures and expressions in ways that wolves cannot. The fact that dogs have become so adept at understanding humans raises an interesting question: do dogs see us as one of their own? Canine social cognition, dogs know we're different. One of the primary arguments against the idea that dogs think humans are dogs is the difference in how dogs communicate with each other versus how they interact with humans. Dogs are highly social animals, much like their wolf ancestors, and rely on complex social hierarchies to maintain order within their groups. In the wild, wolves formed packs with clear leaders and followers, and domesticated dogs retain many of these social instincts. Dogs use a variety of signals to communicate with other dogs, including body language, vocalizations, and scents. When two dogs meet, they often engage in behaviors such as sniffing each other's faces and hindquarters, wagging tails, and displaying play bows to signal friendly intentions. These behaviors are specific to intraspecies communication, how dogs interact with other dogs. When interacting with humans, however, dogs tend to use different behaviors. Research has shown that dogs are highly responsive to human gestures, such as pointing and making eye contact, in ways that they do not exhibit with other dogs. Dogs have even been found to track human eye movements and interpret human facial expressions to understand emotions, a trait that is not commonly seen in their interactions with fellow canines. This difference in communication strongly suggests that dogs do not perceive humans as just large, strange-looking dogs but as separate beings who use different social cues. Moreover, dogs' olfactory abilities, far more sensitive than those of humans, allow them to distinguish between the scents of different species. Dogs have approximately 300 million olfactory receptors, compared to a human's 5 million, enabling them to detect subtle differences in scent. They can tell the difference between a human and another dog from a distance, based purely on smell. This sensory difference also suggests that dogs understand that humans are not dogs, as their highly developed sense of smell is one of their primary tools for identifying and categorizing the world around them. Dogs and the bond with humans. One of the most compelling arguments for dogs recognizing humans as distinct from other dogs lies in the bond they form with humans. Dogs have been bred to be companions, and their ability to bond with humans is exceptional. This bond is reinforced by oxytocin, the so-called love hormone, which is released in both dogs and humans when they interact positively with one another. Studies have shown that when dogs make eye contact with their owners, both the dog and the human experience a rise in oxytocin levels, similar to what occurs between human mothers and their infants. This hormonal response suggests that dogs do not merely see humans as fellow pack members, they form deep emotional connections with them that go beyond typical canine social behavior. However, this bond is likely not based on dogs thinking of humans as dogs, but rather on dogs perceiving humans as a separate, important species that plays a central role in their lives. Dogs understand species differences. Canine cognitive research has shown that dogs can distinguish between species, and therefore, it is unlikely that dogs think humans are dogs. Studies have revealed that dogs respond differently to images of humans and other dogs, indicating that they can categorize us as a separate species. For instance, in one study, dogs were presented with images of human faces and dog faces, and they consistently responded differently to each type of image. This suggests that dogs can visually differentiate between humans and dogs, even when they are presented only with faces. Further evidence comes from studies on interspecies social behavior. In the wild, wolves and other canids show clear distinctions in their social interactions with members of their own species compared to interactions with other species, including humans. Similarly, domestic dogs exhibit distinct social behaviors depending on whether they are interacting with a human or another dog. For instance, dogs will often display submissive postures toward humans but are less likely to display the same degree of submission toward other dogs, especially in non-hierarchical contexts. Perceptual differences: how dogs see humans. From a sensory perspective, dogs also perceive humans differently from how they perceive other dogs. Dogs rely heavily on their sense of smell to identify and interact with the world around them. The olfactory signatures of humans and dogs are vastly different. Dogs have approximately 300 million olfactory receptors, compared to a human's 5 million. This means that dogs can easily distinguish between the scent of a human and the scent of another dog. If a dog thought of a human as a dog, one might expect the dog to react to human scents in the same way it does to other dogs, but this is not the case. Dogs typically respond differently to human and dog scents, suggesting they recognize humans as distinct. Moreover, dogs have different visual perceptions than humans. While humans rely heavily on sight, dogs see the world in shades of blue and yellow, with limited color differentiation. They can recognize shapes and motion well but do not see as sharply as humans. Despite this, dogs can still differentiate human faces from dog faces. Research has shown that dogs can distinguish between human facial expressions, which suggests they have learned to interpret human emotions differently than those of their canine counterparts. Dogs also respond to social cues from humans that they would not typically respond to in interactions with other dogs. A classic example is the use of human pointing gestures. Dogs have an extraordinary ability to follow human pointing, which is not a behavior they would naturally use or understand in their interactions with other dogs. In contrast, wolves, despite being closely related to dogs, are generally unable to follow human pointing, which underscores the unique nature of dogs' sensitivity to human social cues. This ability demonstrates that dogs have evolved to recognize and respond to humans as a separate species, with their own distinct set of social signals.